Are you nervous about trying your first track day? I know I was. There are a ton of things to consider and there's a lot of information available about going and doing your first ever track day. But we've put together a guide simplifying it down to give you the bare basics of how to enjoy your first day. Specifically, we've come here to Castle Combe to film it because they run a really good new to track session. They have a separate briefing, more advice, free instruction, and small groups with around 12 bikes on track. Plus, it's a nice big circular right-handed circuit. There's no gnarly jumps or blind crests. It's a simple, fun track to get your first apexes in on. For our video today, we are using that lady there. That's my wife, that's Kirsty. Technically, this is her fourth track day, but that's only because if we tried to film her on her first, she would probably melt it. She's super nervous, and this has been the perfect environment for her to get her confidence up on track. On the day, there are a few standard procedures pretty much at every track day. You'll need to sign on, probably show your license at some point. You'll need to get your bike noise tested, and then you'll need to attend a briefing of some format. Once you've done that, the first track sessions have sighting laps at the beginning of them. This is to familiarise you with the circuit, get everyone up to speed, and give you a chance to follow the instructors to get an idea of the line straight away. The sighting laps are at a lower speed and as a group with no overtaking. It looks quite sedate from the side of the track, but 100% if it's your first track day, even the sighting laps still feel nervous. Take your time, don't be pressured, and just enjoy riding around and working out the lines. What is the ideal bike for your first track day? Well, whichever one you've got the keys for. That's always the best bike in the world. But really, it doesn't matter too much. What matters is that it's a bike you're comfortable with, and it's a bike that's in decent enough condition to take the increased amount of abuse you're going to give it on track. I'm not meaning million RPM downshifts and backing it into every turn, but you're going to be riding it at higher RPM and at higher speeds and using your brakes harder than you would pretty much anywhere else on the road. So make sure that your brakes are in good condition, you've got plenty of meat on your pads, you've got oil and coolant topped up as they should be, and that your chain is not dragging on the floor. Tick those things, add in a set of tyres that are at least road legal and not bald, and you should be away. Track days get a bit of a racing stigma about them. People who get super into it end up with paddock stands and wets on wheels and all sorts of fancy prep. But for your first track day, you don't need wets, you don't need tyre warmers, you don't need paddock stands, and you don't need to worry about things like tyre pressures. Make sure your tyres are set to the standard manufacturer pressure. If you start picking up pace, going quicker, and riding on a hot day, speak to the tyre technician at the track. Nearly every track day has a tyre technician service. Speak to them, get their advice. But genuinely, for your first track day, if you're going at a steady pace and getting into it, stock tyre pressures are perfect. Riding kit. Now you will need a set of leathers, either one piece or two piece zipped together, decent boots, gloves, and a good helmet. You don't need to spend £1,000 on a fancy airbag suit. If you can, happy days, but if it's your first track day, just a set of second-hand marketplace leathers will do the trick. Make sure they fit and have a go at getting into them before you arrive at the track day, because if you've never worn leathers before, you'll find that's probably the hardest bit of track riding. You all right in there?
Getting there!
You might also need to bring a friend along to help you get the zips done up for the first time. Don't be shy. On the day of your track day, there are a few things to stick by. One, turn up in plenty of time. There's nothing worse than running around in a mad rush trying to remember what to do at the last minute. If the track's a long way away, try and find a cheap hotel the night before. It just makes everything that little bit easier and lets you enjoy the day more. Get signed on, noise tested and briefed in plenty of time. Make sure you have a good breakfast to set you up for the rest of the day. I feel like your mum nagging you now, but these things do matter. You're going to do a lot of work on a track day. If you enjoy it and ride every session, you will use a ton of energy by the end of the day. So keeping yourself fed and hydrated is as important as keeping your bike topped up with fuel. Out on track. Now, the rules of the track riding will be covered in your briefing. Each track have their own rules about where you can and can't overtake or areas to pay attention to on that particular circuit. But there are a few overriding rules that are super important to remember. Number one is ride your own ride. Look ahead, don't look behind. If you focus on what you're doing and where you're going, let everyone else behind you sort themselves out. Number two is give people plenty of room. It's not the last lap of a British Superbike Championship. 2 meters, a little bit more, give people space. The last thing you want is to be turning into a corner only to find someone bombing up the inside of you and surprising you. So don't be that person doing it to someone else. Give everyone plenty of space. And lastly, for the first 2 sessions, use the space on track and just get a feel for it. You quite often see people coming in after 1 session of a track day, adjusting their suspension or clickers or running around looking for changes. If it's your first track day and it's your first time at a track, that's natural to feel like you want to improve things, but give it time. Give yourself time to get a feel, get up to speed, and then you'll really start to find out what changes you need later in the day. Now, one of the things that does put people off and worry people about coming on track with their bike is the risk of damaging it. I would say if you treat it like a good road ride, there's no more risk on track of crashing than there is on road. In fact, probably less on track. But there's a couple of things you can do to reduce that risk. Number one is crash protection. I don't want people to get the impression you've got to spend a fortune on your bike just to do a track day, but sticking a set of R&G crash mushrooms on, sticking some engine case sliders, that's not a huge investment, and that can really protect your bike if you do even just drop it in the paddock. Now, the second option is to look at track day insurance. If you've got a special bike that you want to use on track but you don't want to drop it, or if you've just got your normal road bike and you can't afford to smash it up on a track day, Bimoto do track day insurance, so you can insure your bike against damage for any UK track day. That's worth doing, and it does give you that little bit of extra peace of mind if you do want to come to a track on it. And behind me here in the wild, we have instructors. They are strange creatures in Dayglow that can make your track day better. That was the worst David Attenborough impression ever. Final point, once you've done a couple of sessions and you've started to find your feet, go and see the instructors. Here at Castle Combe, they're free to use and they know their way around the track. They've done billions of laps of these places, and they'll follow you, let you follow them, and they'll help you not necessarily massively improve your lap time, although they will help that, but they'll make you more confident, smoother. They'll make you realise where your lines weren't quite right. Make you realise, oh, I could brake a bit later for that corner. It really helps to have someone looking after you and giving you a bit of toe on track and give you some pointers. So go and speak to the instructors, use their advice, and I promise you it will make your day 10 times better. Now, it's all well and good me giving you all these fantastic reasons to come and try a track day, but it's been a long time since my first track day. So wifey Kirsty here has been, well, your first track day was not that long ago. This is technically your 4th, but you still go through the nerves every morning. So, you know, what was it like for you doing your first track day when you actually got out on track?
Still terrified. Like, I built it up to be this thing in my head where if I wasn't doing race pace as everyone else was, I was just going to be a rolling obstacle and run into the back of and just embarrass myself. But once I got out of my head a bit and just treated it like an excellent, great road, fun ride with my mates on a nice bike, it completely changed it for me. You're in a safe environment, you're in a marshalled environment, there are no cars, bikes, anything coming in the opposite direction, and good quality road. And you just start to enjoy, I just started to enjoy it then, because it was falling back on something that I knew well, but I could maybe push myself a little bit harder because I knew I was in this environment that made that safer to give it a go.
There you go. So go out, do a track day, face your fears, and you might well really enjoy it. It does great things for your riding, and it's another excuse to spend a day at motorbiking rather than being at work in the middle of the week, which is always a win.